Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today is a video that I think should be a good one. We have another very big update to the whole TSM drama saga and the whole TSM situation involving the recent firing of their second coach of the season, Peter Zhang. Now, when this all happened, he immediately took to Discord and was like, hey guys, I'm sorry for what happened. I did some bad stuff. I'm gonna make a statement about this stuff tonight. And I was hyped. I was excited. I was like, that probably doesn't seem like a great idea. I'm sure, a legal team or a management team or a lawyer would probably not advise you to make a statement in that circumstance. But I was like, whatever. I'm excited to hear this. Let's get the juicy details and all that stuff. Then Peter Zhang came out later that day and said, hey, okay, never mind. I'm not going to give a statement tonight. I don't want to make anything worse. I don't want to add fuel to the fire. But fast forward a couple days later, and now Peter Zhang has finally put out a statement about this whole situation. I have only read a little bit of it so far, but I've heard it's a good one. It should be interesting. I don't know, but that's what we're going to be going over in this video today. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I would appreciate that a ton, and subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Help us run those numbers up. The channel's been doing really, really well recently, and hey, let's keep that going. I don't want to stop just yet. Obviously, we hit 10,000 subscribers this year, and I would love to hit 20,000 even faster. With that being said, let's get right into this. So here's what we were talking about today. At Peter Zhang, LOL, former coach for LMQ, TL, EF, Kaboom, and TSM, posts my side of the story and then a twit longer. And we know in the esports world and in the League of Legends world, if there's a twit longer involved, it's usually going to be spicy. It's usually going to be a banger. And obviously, this is the same case in this situation. Obviously, over the past couple of days, we've heard a ton of different rumors, a ton of different speculation. We've heard people all across the esports landscape chiming in on this, but we have not gotten to hear from the man himself, Peter Zhang. He says, my side of the story. My story: after I was released from TSM, I was not going to say anything, but the article about me on Deserto had a lot of things that were wrong, and I want to correct. Now, again, already, first sentence, not entirely true, because he says, after I was released from TSM, I was not going to say anything. And again, right when he was released from TSM, the very first thing he said was, I'm going to say something about this tonight. So kind of funny, kind of interesting. Again, he then did backtrack a couple hours later, but at first, you actually were going to say something. You were planning on saying something, but whatever, just kind of a little asterisk there. I'm not the player agent, and I never took a cut. The part of the article that did not make sense to me is where it said I was acting as a player agent and taking their money while getting them a spot on TSM. Here are some of the things the article said. The claim is that Yi, in his capacity as coach, would work with management to select players for their roster. This makes it sound like I chose players on purpose and messed up scouting for my benefit. Yes, you are correct. That is absolutely what the article makes it sound like. And yeah, obviously you getting fired from the team really doesn't help that whole situation. But he says, I want to explain how the player selection went this offseason. Last year in summer week 8, management wanted a team to practice more because Chinese and Korean teams practice a lot. Parth and Bjergsen said that not every player can do that, but they were told to get players to play more, so the team was practicing night blocks and even after game days. During playoffs, players felt burnt out and started playing badly, ended up losing to Cloud9. So that's kind of interesting. Obviously, Peter dropping some knowledge on us there, because we did get the quote from Bjergsen last year that hey, I play more solo queue than some of my players. We also heard a quote from Reggie that he's not been very involved with the team this year, but he did get involved with the team last year because, yes, he was disappointed with how much they were playing the game. So, these things are lining up. It does seem like Peter's telling the truth here, but also pretty interesting that, Peter at least feels like some of the players were getting burnt out, and that affected their play, because TSM finished with the best record in the regular season. Or I'm pretty sure they finished with the best record in the regular season, if not one of the best records. And then, yeah, they ended up falling short and not making it to Worlds ultimately. So that's kind of interesting. That's a nice little tidbit that, we hadn't really known before. And, maybe him throwing TSM and Reggie under the bus a little bit. But I was told that big priority for next year was to find players that are mechanically good and will adjust to the new training schedule. Which is also funny because what is this new training schedule? TSM is one of the lowest Champions Queue game teams in the whole league. It seems like they're not playing a ton of solo queue, not playing a ton of Champions Queue, not practicing more than other teams. So, kind of an empty promise there, I would say. But Parth gave me a list of players from LDL and LPL that he wanted us to talk to. I helped figure out what players were too expensive for TSM and which did not want to go to NA and remove them from the list. Is that true, or did he remove the ones from the list who are not willing to work with him? Hey, who knows, but this is what he's saying. Just kind of funny. Then we started tryouts with Chinese and Korean players after getting permissions from teams. I also wonder, Kaido was on this list of like the top LPL and LDL players that Parth was looking at. That's weird to me. Then we started tryouts with Chinese and Korean players after getting permission from teams. I would share the stream and VODs with players. If anyone was really good, I got some help to translate comms and send for staff to look at. And this is just also funny because I can't even read a sentence like that without thinking, where he says, if the players were good, I would share their stream and VODs, and it's like, if the players would work with me, if the players would let me be their agent, I would, send their VODs on over. It's just funny because I know it's what people are going to say. It's what people are going to meme. At the same time, TSM was talking to Bjergsen, EU, and NA players. We had a couple of mid and support options who were good. I talked to the players and their family to understand their personality and how they would fit in NA. I sent that information back to TSM. I think Kaido is a very rookie player, but he has good fingers, and we can help him become good. Shenny was very smart about the game, and because he trained under FPX and Doinby, if you see their early streams, they're hardworking, willing to learn English and talk to fans. I talked to Parth and Kays once we bring Chowie on. He also looked at players' VODs with comms, then to make the decision with Andy if we want to go KR players, EU players, or CN players. They decided to go Chinese. I helped and gave suggestion, but never decided anything myself. Now, again, that could all very well be true. No one, I don't think, thinks that Peter Zhang decided this stuff on himself. He is not part of upper management. He doesn't have this kind of power. He doesn't have this kind of decision-making capabilities. But again, in that whole system, you can see how there is many opportunities for Peter Zhang to influence things and to impact things and affect things, especially when he is kind of the Chinese speaker. He's the Mandarin speaker. He's largely the communicator between some of these players, their families, and TSM. Again, I'm not saying he did these things. We don't know. They're just alleged. But there's absolutely room and possibility for these things to be happening, even from his side of the story. So that's where, you could definitely be a little bit curious. But then he would go to the player in question and offer to act as their agent, stating he could get them on the TSM roster if they allowed him to represent them. I have never done this. If a player asks me about agents or help, I can tell them another agent they can get, but I have never been a player agent. TSM also told me that I wasn't supposed to be part of negotiations this year. TSM used another person on staff who spoke Mandarin to help with negotiations. These are the 4 players TSM has gotten last 2 years. Sword Art didn't have an agent. Which makes it interesting. Again, I know some people have said this, that Sword Art didn't even have an agent and he negotiated the biggest and worst contract in LCS history. That's impressive, and also probably a little bit hard to believe. Kaido, I don't know his agent, but I know his agency, and we have no business connection. Shenny, someone from his family was his agent, and Yursan, I know his agent, but we don't have any business connection. For negotiating the deal, he would take a cut of the player's earnings, offering much higher than a standard agent's fee or brokering the deal. I've never taken any amount of players' earnings as agent fee or helping them go to TSM. Yursan needed help sending his agent money for their agreement, so I helped them transfer it because sending money from USA to China is sometimes complicated. Anyone can check that I'm telling the truth by asking any of these players or any player that I've ever worked with. I have never asked to be their agent to talk to TSM, and I've never taken a part of their salary. They will all agree with me. Apology. Then I want to take responsibility for my mistakes. My grandmother's in the hospital. My family needed money. I had promised Sword Art last year I would pay him for the car to keep myself or send him money when I sold it. I was able to sell it, but I hid it from him and sent that money to my family for part of the expenses. I was embarrassed to ask Sword Art for help at first and thought I could just pay him back later. He discovered that I'd sold the car and asked me to pay him back now. On top of that, my grandmother's treatment was supposed to take more money. I was desperate and reached out to friends and players for help. I know it was wrong with me, and I'm really sorry. The money has been returned to all the players, and I apologize to all of them. And then I talked to Sword Art and his family and are resolving the situation. My feelings. The last thing I want to talk about is my personal feelings about everything that's happening. I've been stressed out from the beginning of the year because of my family issues, but I was happy that we picked up 2 young players who really wanted to go to NA and to coach them. I see a lot of potential in both of them. I'm sad at how the season has gone so far and how the players are being blamed. This year, TSM does not feel the same. Since I've been on TSM, I can always talk to Parth and Bjergsen about coaching or game problem and figure out for my players on Academy. James would be there to help me with Riot or help players with everything. And just as a friend, Lena and Parth always help me with anything I needed or tell me when I did something wrong and how to fix it. Now it feels like everyone is angry or scared about something and there's no one to help. Everyone just wants to blame each other. Spica didn't bench Shenyi and everyone from community blaming him, but no one from TSM help him. That I do absolutely agree with. I don't know if I should say something on Twitter because maybe I get fired or punished. I don't know if someone at TSM tells Dexerto about these things, but the player agent thing is not true. It is easy for TSM to check and ask players, but instead I have to defend myself. And that's what's kind of interesting is, he keeps saying he didn't do this stuff and it's easy for TSM to check and all that. And again, it sounds like TSM did their own investigation. It sounds like they figured out something. They dug up something, or someone tipped them off, or someone told them something. Now, maybe someone's lying, maybe someone's telling a half truth, maybe someone's just mad about, getting skimped out on some money or something. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, TSM did some kind of investigation and has some kind of evidence against him. And hey, we're going to find out. I mean, the truth about this, I think, will come out because either he's going to get in trouble or TSM is going to, end up looking bad in the situation if it ends up not being true. But we'll see. Maybe it's better for TSM if everything is my fault. I don't know. TSM just doesn't feel the same anymore. I wish the best for the players on the team, especially about Kaido and Jenny as young players. They came to NA and don't speak English and are still trying their best in a hard situation. They had to learn the game and speak English and everything very fast. They got little help, then both got benched. I don't think they have shown close to what they're capable of. So he says, TLDR, I want to apologize to Sword Art and my current players for my actions and accept TSM's decision to release me for this, which I think is weird because it sounds like TSM is releasing him for the player agent stuff. Yes, the whole borrowing money and stealing money from Sword Art and all that stuff, that's weird, but is that what he's getting fired for? Maybe, I don't know, but, if he's saying this stuff isn't true, but then also saying, I accept TSM's decision to release me, I don't know. I mean, if he didn't do the stuff, I feel like I'd be trying to argue and trying to clear my name and not saying I accept the decision, saying that it's BS. It's not like, I get in certain situations when you get let go or fired, you don't want to start an argument because you don't want to burn bridges and you don't want to hurt your future career. But like at the current state, Peter Zhang has no bridges to burn. There's no future for him in esports. No one is going to take this guy on. So I don't know. If it's not true, I feel like I would be fighting. I feel like I would be very vocal. I feel like I'd be out there. Or just not making a statement at all because, again, this is most likely a legal matter, and I can't imagine that talking about this too much is a good idea. But anyway, the stuff about me being a player agent, getting a percent of their salaries is 100% not true. Anyone can verify this by talking to any of the players. My time at TSM has been great, but this year was especially hard. I wish all the players the best. So that's where we're at. Now, we do know that Shenny came out and said that he didn't give any money to Peter, and Peter didn't take any money from him, so that's at least one of the 4 players down, but we haven't heard from Yurson. We haven't heard from Kaido. We haven't heard from Sword Art. And, if everyone comes out and says that it isn't true, and there's an investigation that takes place, and they find out this all isn't true, it's going to be even weirder of a situation. But, man, if something comes out and somebody says this is true, or if somebody finds something out, which I want to believe that TSM must have heard something, or must know something, or must have some evidence, since they fired him and all this stuff came out and all that. But yeah, I don't know. This is at least Peter Zhang's side of the story, which deserves to be heard and deserves to be told, and that's why I wanted to make this video. I am still very, very skeptical, but again, it's all alleged. It's all allegations. There is some idea of innocence until proven guilty, and we don't know what evidence or whatever TSM has, but obviously they felt confident enough in their evidence to fire him very quickly and very swiftly. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the story's definitely not done, but this is at least what Peter Zhang has to say about it. That's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.